All right, guys. All right. Welcome to Frank Teaches Dave MLOps. Yeah, my lovely viewers. So, yeah, in today's series, we will be looking at Pandas DataFrame Part 6. I think this will be my last series. So, I'll call it 6 of 6. All right. 6 of 6. So, this is a completed what? Series. Okay. So in here, we will be looking at, which is the last part, right? We will be looking at um, data inputs and outputs. Data inputs and outputs. All right. So this will be data inputs and what outputs. Okay. So um okay. Okay. So in this, we'll be looking at ways we could bring in data, right? How we could read data from a given data set. Okay. So all this while we've been seeing ways of creating data frames, right? You have your data. From your data, you create your what? You create your data frame. However, in this other context, we will look at how we can what? Pull in data, right? We have data already resident somewhere. It could be in your S3, it could be on Kaggle websites, right? It could be anywhere. So you want to you downloaded the data and you want to pull the data into your what? Into your development environment. So that is what we call data inputs, right? You're pulling in data. Now the data outputs, right? There are ways after manipulating your data, you've cleaned your data and you want to save your data, right? You can now output data to something else. All right. So now pandas, right? So we would say pandas, right? Pandas has the ability to what? To write and what? And to read. Let me bring this first. To read and what? And write data. To read and write data, all right? Okay. To a wide variety of sources, right? To wide variety of what? Of sources. Okay. Now, there are four major sources. There are four major sources. Okay. There are what? Four major sources that we can read and write data from. All right. So they are, we have CSV, right? We can read, write CSV files. We have Excel, right? We have HTML, and finally we have SQL, right? So though there are more sources of files, or there are more, right? But for the sake of this video, we are going to limit our work around these four, right? Great, great. Now, working with Excel and working with HTML and Excel file types, right? You need to install some certain kinds of libraries, Python libraries, right? So let's hop. Okay, so if you're working with HTML, right? If you're working with HTML, you want to install the HTML5 library, Python library, right? HTML5 Python library, right? Similarly, you want to install also a LXL, XML, right? which is LXML. Okay. And finally, we have one called Beautiful Soup for Beautiful Soup. Beautiful Soup. Beautiful for. Now, if you're working with SQL, then you want to install a library called SQL Alchemy, right? SQL Alchemy, right? So without further ado, guys, let's now hop on towards um our notebook and look at these things. All right, let's look at these things. Let me copy. All right, let's look at these things. So hop onto your notebook. Okay, so like I've said, for you to start working with HTML and um SQL files, all right, you need to install different different sorry guys, you need to install different what Python libraries, right? Which we've mentioned. So one of which is for HTML, okay, sorry. For HTML, we have LXML, we have HTML5 lib, right? We have beautiful soup 4, all right? Then for SQL, so we have things like SQL Albert Alchemy, SQL Alchemy. So let me run this as a markdown, and there we go. All right, there we go. So let's get started, guys. All right, let's get started. But before then, let's look at CSV. We're going to look at CSV, right? We're also going to look at Excel. Okay, we'll look at HTML files, and finally we'll look at what SQL files. All right, great, great. So still on markdown. Good, guys. All right, good. Now CSV. So we will look how to read CSV files and how to write CSV files. Now let me go to a website called Kaggle. So Kaggle is a repository um of different data sets. All right, let me log in. All right, so it's a repository of different data sets. All right, so there are millions of data sets on Kaggle, right? So let's browse the data sets. I can come here, I can say New York, New York housing, New York rental. Let me see if I can see a data set on New York rental housing. New York City Airbnb analysis. Let me open this and see. Is there a data set? Is there any something? No, no, no. Let's click on data sets. That's code. Now let's now search. So these are data sets now, right? So let me search for New York. A and B global listing. Let's check. All right. So Airbnb global listing. Okay. So there is a data set here. So you can download, you can see the code. So let's download this data set. All right. Let's download this data set. Okay. Let's download the data sets and look at okay what the data set contains. All right. So I'll go there, download. So download data sets 1 GB. That's too huge. Let me look for something small. Can I have something small? Disease control. Okay, heart disease. All right. Heart disease dataset. Heart disease. All right. So let's download heart disease. What's the size? Great. The size is just 6 KB. So I can stop downloading this. Pause. Stop. So this 6 KB has been downloaded. Archive. All right. So now come to my words. Pandas. All right. So I come to my notepad, my notebook. Now I can run shell commands. All right. I can run shell commands. PWD tells me that I am in my download directory. Okay. Now I can also list the content of my download directory. So you can see I have all of these guys. Okay. So I just downloaded archive one. Okay. So I can unarchive it. So I can create what? I can create a directory. Let me call it mkdir disease diseases. Right. Now I have created diseases directory. Now I need to change directory to diseases, right? Change directory to diseases. Okay. Now I have changed directly to disease. So if I say PWD now, I have this, right? So now let me now copy the download into diseases. So I'll say copy from downloads, right? Um, copy what? Archive. So copy archive one. This is what I'm copying into where? Into diseases. Into here, right? So I've copied that. So if I list PWD, I'm inside of diseases. If I list the content of diseases, I should have the file. Can you see the file now? All right. So now I want to decompress this file now. All right. So I'll say what? I'll say unzip. Unzip what? Archive. So I run this. Okay. These extra characters. These extra characters. Um. Okay. Okay. So let me change it from my download archive. Let me rename it, guys. So in there, let me just rename it. Rename. Okay. All right. There we go. So I can now do this, right? So unzip that says invalid syntax. Unzip, is that on the name? So let me just do it directly. I don't know why it's not diseases. All right. So say open with archive utility. So we have it heart.csv, right? Heart.csv. So my data set is heart.csv. So let me clean all of these things. Clean all of this. Clean all of this. Clean all of that. All right. Clean. Clean. Okay. Now, PWD, instead of what diseases, right? Now, if I list the content of diseases, I should have heart.csv. Now we need to read this data sets using what? Using pandas. So I'll say what? Import pandas. Import pandas as what? As PD, right? Now let's now read. To read a data into your notebook using Panda, what do we do? I hope I'm still recording. Great. What do? We say what? We say pd dot read underscore csv. Right? So read underscore csv is a method for reading csv files. It's a method for reading what? CSV files. Okay, so now I want to pass what the file. The file is hearts.what.csv. I'm able to do it like this because I am in the same directory where the file is. I am in the same directory where the file is. So now I will hit enter. I have my record. So you can see now we have this file. We are able to what to read this file. So this is our data set. Okay, this is our data set. Age, sex, CP, trace BBS, cholesterol, FBS, RESG, tal. So these are different um, um, metrics, right? For measuring how healthy your heart is. All right. There are different metrics for checking the healthy state of a human heart, right? And this is the record so far, right? This is a record. So you can see these records are important. And let me just pick up a few things. So let me assign this to a data frame. And our DF is that, right? Great. So I can perform a lot of other operations. All right. I could say df.head. So head will display for me the first five rows, of my data set, right? df.tail, it will display the last five rows of my data set. You can see now if I need to pass a number, I can say n is equal to, I can say 10, right? I need the what? The last 10 rows of this data set. I'll have it. Similarly, if I come here and say head, the first 10 rows of the data set, I'm going to what? Have the data. Okay. So great, guys. Great. So you can also perform all those group group by. Can I perform group by here? No, it's not coming up. Don't worry. Right. So it doesn't have a method. So head doesn't have a method, right? So we are good like this now. Let's not digress. You can see how I'm able to work to read a data set. Now, what if I want to write this data set, right? I have gotten my data set. I want to work with this data set. So what do we do? So let me now say read data. RD is this, right? So if I now say RD, I have a new data set. RD. Sorry. It's supposed now. It's supposed, yes. It's supposed. This gives me this. All right. So I want to pass this to a data frame. LD. LD. All right. So this wasn't a cell. I don't know why it didn't. So it wasn't an active cell. All right. It wasn't an active cell. So what was this then? Delete. All right. So you can see we now have a what? A new what? Data frame from our data set. So what do we do now? I want to write this now, right? I want to write this. So I'll say ld dot write. Sorry, ld dot to underscore, right? Now to underscore, there are different file formats. We have to clipboard, to copy to clipboard, to CSV, to dictionary, to Excel, to Feather, to GBQ, to HTML, to Markdown, to NumPy, to SQL, to XML, to Pickle, to Period, to Parquet, etc., etc. So I want to convert it to what? To CSV. So this is a method. So let's look at what you're going to pass. So it's very simple. The file name, right? I can say top 10 top10.csv. So that's my new file name. So if I launch this, shift enter, it has been written. So if I check my directory now, ls-l, I should see that I've written what? new data called what? top10.csv. Based on my original data, I have what? I read this data and I I did some what's it called? Some manipulation, right? I did some cleaning. After cleaning the data, now you want to write your raw, your final output. Your final output, you use what? To CSV, right? Then the file name, and it creates the file. All right, it creates the file. So if I want to read that file, top 10, same thing. I'll say what? pd.read underscore CSV, read what? top 10, top 10. And there we have it. We have it. You can see I'm able to what? Read my what? top 10 file. So this is how you read and write data from using what? CSV, right? Now the next one is what? Excel. Let's look at Excel. The same process, guys. Right? So I think I should have some Excel data here. Or let me just create something new. Right? So let me say 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. And let me say name, age, sex, right? Name is Frank. Name John, Mary, Obi, Lambert, right? Uh-huh. 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 Great. Sex, male. Uh-huh. Male. Uh-huh. Female, male, male. All right, so let's save this file. All right, so save as in my download, or I'll go to, let me save it as bio data. Right now, let's save it to download. We'll move it to disease. Right, save. So this has been saved. Let's come back to our IDE. Right, so I'm going to copy biodata into where? Into my current directory, which is what? Diseases. And I have done that. So if I list the content of this now, I should see that I have what? Biodata dot what? XL SS. Now let's read that data. So I'll say what? pd dot what? Read underscore Excel. Which file? The file is what? Biodata. I hit enter. So you can see we have unnamed columns. Unnamed column 0, unnamed column 1 is just because we didn't start from the beginning. If we had started from the beginning, all right, is it so? Let's check. Maybe, yeah, maybe, right? So you can see we have this nice looking data frame, but we don't need these columns, right? Okay, so what can we do from here now? Now we need to specify the sheets. Thank you. Look at this now, right? So the sheet is sheet 1. The sheet name is what? Sheet 1, right? So I'll come back here and I'll say comma. Let's look at sheet underscore name. All right, so I'll say the sheet underscore name is what? Is sheet 1. Sheet what? Sheet 1. So if I rerun this, I have that. Okay. Okay, so let me see if I can grab this column. Can I grab unnamed on named unnamed column 0? What is it saying? Unnamed 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 on let's check something. Unnamed column space 0. Let me see if is yes. Now I can grab this, so I can actually drop this column. All right, I can drop this column. All right, so I can say, can I use dot drop? Yes, I can say dot drop the column. All right, labels. Okay, drop axis is equal to 1. Let's do that. Okay, it's not coming. Now let me clean that. Let me assign this to a variable. Let me call it um l lx is that. All right, okay, I could come here and say lx is that. I already read lx, so we have this lx. So right, lx dot drop who? Drop this column. The column is what? Unnamed column space 0. All right, so not found in axis. So I'll now say what? Comma, axis is equal to 1. All right, so I have dropped this guy. Okay, so because I need to drop it permanently, so I'll say what? In place is equal to true. Right, so similarly I need to drop unnamed 1. So if I check lx now, I should have unnamed 0 is gone, so I need to drop unnamed 1. So I'll do that, and finally we have this. So you can see, guys, the way I have what I have I have modified, I have prepared my data set from Excel, right? So this is my data set from Excel. So finally, I can write this now to a new fresh Excel. So I can say what? I can say LRO. Let me say LRO. So I'll say PD dot to underscore Excel to underscore sorry to all right, data frame is lx, right? So lr equals lx dot to underscore excel, right? So the file name is, it will be what was the file name before? File name was biodata, right? I can say biodata new dot xl. What's sx? Is that the data type? xls xlsx. All right, there we have it. So I run this, then finally there we go. So we've written a new file. So if I do ls-l, I have biodata new. So if I can read biodata, I can read it as a CSV. Okay, not as a CSV. Excel, please. Read underscore Excel, and the Excel file is what? Biodata new, and there we have it. You can see it. We are still having this unnamed this thing. I don't know why it's coming. It's always coming like this. Wait to I think there's a function index column. By default is none. Sheet underscore name. Blah 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 blah. All right, guys, let's continue. Let's continue. All right, so that was, we've seen how to read both CSV and Excel file. So now let's look at what HTML file. Let's look at reading what HTML what files, right? Like I said, if you're working with HTML, right, and if you run into any error, make sure that these libraries are fully what installed: HTML5 library and LXML library and beautiful soup 4, right? But it's like I have it, but let's check though. Now I will say pd.read underscore html. Now I will specify the URL, right? The URL of the data I need to read into my what notebook. So I have a data, FD government is federal, whatever, federal what? Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation from USA. So there is a set of data sets in here. So resources. So you come to resources and go to what? Resolutions. In here, you come to what? Field bank list. All right. Then these are the lists, right? So what I will do now, I'll copy this URL. This URL, I'll copy it. I'll go to my what? My data frame, all right? And I will paste that guy there. So, right? So what I will do now, I'll assign this LH. Let me assign to LH to a what? To a variable. So if I print my LH can see I have all this data. So it has called the entire data from that website because it's an HTML data, right? It has moved all those data. So now what do we do now, right? So this data has pages. So you can see this is page 1. All right, it's page 1. So you have a lot of pages, and these pages are seen as what? Indexes. All right, so this could be index 0, index 1, 2, 3, 4, etc., etc. So what do we do now? Let's see how I can bring that in. So I can now say I can tap that index LH of 0. So if I do this, I'll have this data properly arranged as a what? A data frame. You can see. So this is a data that we call from what? This website. Right? So this is our what? Data set from this website. So I can use this to create a new what? Data set. So I can come here and say, okay, LH1 is that. I have it. So LH1 gives me what? Gives me this. All right. Similarly, I can have page 2. Okay. So page 2, and I will go back here. I'll come here. All right. And copy the URL. All right. Come over here and do same thing. Let me call that LH2. All right. So LH2 is pd dot what? Read underscore HTML. And there we go. There we have it. Enter. Then LH2, we have it. Okay. LH2 into the index out of range. So that will be 0 as well. That will be 0 as well. Right. So LH2 is this. Right. So now let's convert this properly. So LH2 is that. LH2 becomes this. So we now have what? Two different words data frame. We have LH2. We now have what? LH1. Let's see how we can use our skill set of concatenation to combine what? This data frame, right? So I can come here and say LH equals to what? pd.concat. Now I want to what? Combine these two data frames. But before then, I can say pd dot what? Concat LH1 comma LH what 2. If I do this, what's it saying now? Okay, it's a list. Let's put that in like this. All right, good. So guys, normally it's supposed to accept only one positional argument, but it found 2. It should accept 1. It takes 1 positional argument. All right. So now, as this is now, this is 2. To make it 1, you put them in a list. So this is a 1, right? It becomes 1. Now we've combined what? The 2 what? Data frame, but you can see that this is the first data frame, LH1. The index starts from 0 to 9. And the second data frame, the index starts from where? 0 to 1. So the index is not properly arranged. It doesn't make sense. All right. So the only thing, this data set is okay. But the only thing I need to work on is the what is the index. So what do I do in this context? So I will say, okay, I will say, let me assign this to a new data. LH. LH is all of that. So if I now say LH, I have all of these, right? Now I need to what reset. I need to reset these this column. So I'll say what LH dot reset underscore index. So reset underscore index is a function, right? So I hit enter and can see it has what it has rearranged the whole index, right? However, it created a new column called index, right? Even when I reset the entire index, okay, okay, give me new. So if I let me print LH if it's still there. All right, so we've resetted it, we've reset it, and so this is a new value in our what index. So you can see how we have been able to what to write a new data frame from it didn't change anything. No. So it's not permanent. So let's do it, let's make it permanent. In place, let's say in place is equal to true, right? So we are making it permanent. So this is now permanent. All right. However, we have this column index. So I want to drop that column. So drop index, right? Axis is equal to 1. So now we have dropped that index column, right? But it's not permanent. So let's make it permanent. So I'll now say in place is equal to what? True. Oh, true is not defined. Oh, true is capital T. Capital T. We have it. Right? So LH now you can see we have prepared our data. Our data set now makes sense. First, what did we do? Because everything was okay, right? The information here is okay. We don't need to change any other information. So what we just needed to modify was the column, sorry, the index. So what did we do? We reset the index, right, and pass it as it is now, right? And everything is now looking nice. So now we can now write this into as a normal CSV and now say LH dot what to underscore CSV. This file will be FDI FDIC.csv, and there we have it. And here we go. So ls-l, we have it. FDIC.csv. So you can see we've created a new data set from the HTML data that we pulled from what? From an external website, right? So these are ways, guys, right? These are ways we are playing around with data. Okay. Now the last but not the least is SQL. All right, is SQL. But we're going to end it up there. All right. We're going to end it up there, guys. All right. So we are going to end it up there. So this is it, guys. All right. So SQL is first there is not a straightforward way in implementing that. All right. So because there are different engines, SQL engines. We have the Postgres, we have the MySQL, we have the MS SQL Server, and a whole lot. They also have a SQLite. So SQLite is the inbuilt, what's it called? Inbuilt database engine, right, for any system. Okay, so um so yeah, that's it, guys. Maybe in our next video, all right, we shall look into importing SQL file, but it's the same process, guys, right? We can read SQL files, right? pd.read underscore SQL, right? SQL, right? Then the file name, all right? Then the file name. Similarly, you can write pd.to underscore s, that's the data frame, all right? Data frame, okay? So I could write this as a table. What can I write as a table? So I can write LH as a table. So I say LH to underscore SQL. Right? So let's look at the function. So in this SQL, the table name, right? The name is a string. So I can say my table, right? Then we need to specify the engine, all right? We need to specify the engine. So the engine is that, which is the connection, right? So I'll say con is equal to the engine. But before then, we may have created an engine. So I'll come here and say from SQL Alchemy, import create underscore engine, right? But before then, let's look at the methods that are in SQL what Alchemy. Let's look at the methods. So I'll come here and say print dir SQL uh, SQL Alchemy is not defined. All right, let's run this first. Let's import it. Good. Let's now print it. SQL Alchemy. SQL Alchemy. And now, why is it not coming up? It's not defined. SQL Alchemy. SQL Alchemy. But install, let me check. PIP install SQL Alchemy. It's already installed, all right? It's already installed. So why is it? All right, let's use it. So I'll come here and say, let me say L. I'll say I'll use this function create underscore engine. All right. So create underscore engine. Let's look at the engine that it creates. Let's look at the method. So engine create underscore engine. I'm using SQLite, right? I'm using SQLite. So SQLite will be SQLite. Let's use SQLite. My engine is SQLite, all right? Let me go back to the top. All right, let's use my SQL also. So this is for Postgres, guys. This is for Post. This is how you define Postgres engine, and then this is how you define MySQL. All right. So I'll copy this. I'll copy this. Okay. So so my engine will be L equals create underscore engine MySQL. So let me copy. So MySQL. Let's call this um Scott's. Let's look at the example at localhost slash the DB name, right? DB name, okay? So it says should echo true. Encoding, so let's take encoding. Encoding is Latin, right? We don't want to have some errors, that's why we are encoding it. Okay, so we just created our engine with the name L, right? Let's run this and see. So we have some errors. No module named MySQL DB, right? So let's use SQLite. Let's do that. Invalid. Let me make this 3. Okay. So let me go back to my SQL. My SQL. MySQL. We are still having that error. So turning it back to SQLite, use your inbuilt, right? Now make sure that your number of slashes should be 3, right? Should be 3. So we've created the engine. The engine is what? Is L. Now let's print out this engine. Let's do L. So it tells us that this engine is on this path with a name, DB name. All right. Now, let's now create a connection based on this. Let's read that file. So say pd.read SQL. Let me remove this, guys. Um, um, read SQL. Okay. So pd.read underscore. I don't have any SQL, so let me write. Okay, let me let me let me read this data. Let me read what's that data? Let me read the fdic. All right, though is .csv. Is .csv, right? Let's see. Read SQL. Okay, and the engine, which is a connection. The connection is L, right? Because we created an engine on L. All right, and let's see if this will fly. Let me see. It's not flying. Missing one required positional argument. Okay, argument is SQL. Let's check. Okay, SQL, comma SQL. Let's see. All right, so I'm not getting this properly. All right, so guys, maybe in our next video, all right, in our next video, I shall make this correction on how to read SQL files. All right, so far so good, guys. You've seen how we've been able to do what we've been able to what to read and write CSV, Excel, and HTML files. I hope this session has been very, very informative, and I hope to see you in a subsequent episode. However, like I rightly said, this is going to be the last in this series, right? So going forward, we shall see how to bring in data sets, right? Play with the data sets, right? Apply everything that we've learned from Pandas series 1, all right, to what Pandas DataFrame series 6 of 6, right? We shall see how to start bringing in all those skill sets into what we have learned so far. Until then, guys, I want to say bye-bye and have a lovely week ahead. Thank you and have a wonderful day. Peace out.